Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're talking about 5 things we wish we knew before we started retiring.
Yeah, we have learned so much just in traveling around these last 6 years and things that we didn't know beforehand. The very first one that I think happens to a lot of people is that they realize that the place that they've thought is their retirement place does not end up being the place. After all, they just haven't looked around enough because generally speaking, you're going to pick a place and everyone's going to have like we're going to spend most of our time here. It's almost always a place you've already been. But once you start going to other places, most people we've talked to have said they've switched that place to a different place.
Yeah, I think the other thing that happens is you go on vacation somewhere and you're like, oh, I love going on vacation to this one place. This will be the perfect place to retire. But maybe it's not as good long term. Maybe it's just super fun for a week. But if you try to live in that vacation place, it might not be what you thought or what you wanted for a longer stay. That's why it's important to kind of just go with the flow on the place and not be, kind of really bent on just one place, because like you said, it's not always going to be the one that you think.
Yeah, spend your first couple of years traveling around a little bit and seeing some new places. Definitely wouldn't be buying a condo or a house somewhere if you haven't really traveled the whole world so far. Next thing that we wish we knew is that this did not take as much money as we thought it was going to.
That is probably the biggest one for most people, is how much money it's going to take. You're thinking, gosh, if you're traveling and moving from place to place and, all these exotic locations, it's going to be a fortune. And quite honestly, it's a fraction of the cost that you think it's going to be, or compared to where you're coming from, which, like for us, would be America.
Yeah, it is just not going to take as much as it didn't for us take as much as we thought, and we're routinely under budget. We've set our budget for $4,000 a month. We almost never go over 4,000. A lot of months it's 2,500, and it's just not. The only time we really ever go over that budget is if we're on a cruise ship for the whole month, and then it's really more like 5,000. So the average still comes out under 4,000 a month for the whole year. And the third thing that we wished we knew before we started was that insurance is not as big of a problem as we thought it was going to be. We stressed about that. I think a ton of people stress out about insurance. It's probably the most asked question that we get. What do you do about insurance? How's your insurance? What about the insurance? So far, insurance has not been an issue at all.
Mm-hmm. The least of our concerns has been health insurance.
Because most of the world does not operate like America does, where we're just tied to insurance. Most of the world does not have insurance. And so it's not that big of a deal. We have insurance now, but we haven't really ever even needed it, because most of the health care we've gotten has been less than we would just pay for the deductible if you had insurance back home. So it's almost as if it didn't matter. And that's kind of a wild thought, but like going in and getting your medication, you go to the pharmacy to get your antibiotics. At home, you might have a $10 copay for your antibiotic. You might have a $25 copay. I don't know what you have. Go in here and just get the antibiotic. It's just $1.50 without insurance. So it's kind of laughable because the insurance was not a big deal. Same thing applied to on the higher end. If you don't know, Allie just had major surgery in Malaysia. She was hospitalized for 5 days, had a pretty expensive, extensive surgery done, and the whole thing, all in, was $4,300, I think. Mm-hmm. And our insurance that we have has a $5,000 deductible. Yeah. We haven't even gotten to make a claim, even with having major surgery. Like, you'd have to have a lot done to even make a claim on insurance. So it's just not been, but even then we do have the insurance. So it's just not that big of a thing.
Yeah, it's there if you need it, but for the most part, you can just pay cash for stuff, and it is definitely good to have in case you have to go back to the US and you've got some coverage, or, if you have something much more extensive that needs to be done, then, you've got your money that goes towards your deductible, and then, they start covering, so you can cover at least that much. But it's just not that big of a concern. But like you said, it's one of the things that we get asked the most. As I remember from the onset, it's the thing people were like, "What are you going to do about health insurance? What are you going to do about health insurance?" It was such a stressor, and it seems to be such a stressor for people, but it's not something to be concerned with.
Yeah, and I know people want to know. So we do use IMG insurance right now, but we are highly considering switching to a new place that we've heard about that others have switched to, called Safety Wing. So we'll put a link to that in the description. Don't know if I can recommend it yet because we have never used it. Now the other thing is we have IMG insurance. Don't really know if I can recommend that because we've never had to we've put claims in and they're like, this didn't even meet your deductible. So still don't know if they're going to pay. You'd have to rack up a lot of charges to find that out, so hopefully we won't. But those are the two that we use. I think the difference is the Safety Wing, the deductible is only $250. So had we been on that one, it would have been more interesting because we would have found out if they had paid. But on the IMG, our deductible was $5,000, and they're the same price. So quick and dirty difference is the IMG has a higher maximum. The Safety Wing has a lower maximum. That's why it's the same price. But again, where we're getting stuff done, you're never going to meet that maximum.
Yeah.
Likely. Hopefully you won't. Next thing we wish we knew before retiring was that we shouldn't be wasting points and signing up for the wrong credit cards.
Oof, this is a really big one, and one that we messed up on because we kind of went by what everybody else was doing. We started out with airlines instead of hotels, not realizing that airline loyalty was not going to be as important in full-time travel as hotel brands was going to be. The thing is, with airlines, if you sign up for your major airlines, which is what you're going to get in the US, your United, American, Delta, it doesn't matter. Any of the ones you can get in America, those are not really ones you're going to use when you're abroad. If I'm trying to get from Ho Chi Minh to Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, I'm not going to use any of those airlines. I'm going to get a flight on one of the more local airlines like your Thai Airways or Air Asia, and it's going to be a fraction of the cost that it could have been on one of those if they even did those routes. 9 times out of 10, they don't even do those routes. So it is important to get the right cards and start earning points on the right things that are actually going to be more helpful in this lifestyle.
And when we fly back to America, also, we generally try to take a repositioning cruise back. So we're not usually doing those long haul flights. So it really was kind of a mess up to get the airline cards when we really should have been having the IHG, the Marriott, and the Hyatt card, and the Chase Sapphire and the Chase Business Inc. Those are the ones that make the most sense. The next thing that we wish we knew was that nothing really stays the same for a long period of time. We were kind of doing things and we thought, we'll just always do this. That's not really the case because we were finding such good deals that those deals would then go away, never to be seen from again. For instance, our first year, we stayed in Las Vegas for 6 weeks. We got a really good rate on a place there. It was called Tahiti Village, and we stayed there for 6 weeks in Las Vegas. Now the rate there has doubled. Can't go back. So that's been happening kind of across the board with either like Airbnbs we stay at, and then we'll try like, let's go back to that one. It's now twice what it was 2 years ago. But for every one of those that happens, there's always a new door that opens with a really good deal.
Yeah, I think those are big. To kind of follow the deals is what it boils down to. And don't fall in love with the deal because you're probably not going to get that deal again. We can't get the prices, like you said, that we got in Las Vegas. We can't get the prices that we got on, villas overlooking the ocean in Italy. It's just not going to happen again. They were special circumstances, and, we don't know what actually led to it, but we got those deals. Appreciate them when you get them. and then just kind of know that you're probably not going to get that chance again. But like you said, when one door closes, another one opens, which means you will probably find a really good deal on something new and exciting and different.
Yeah. So if you've got things you wish you knew before you retired, let us know in the comments. This is our top 5. We have learned so much. Hopefully this has been helpful to you as well.
All right, guys, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and we will see you next time.